if you've been following the news, which I don't really do that often, but I read that last Thursday Jayme was found. So I started getting a couple of messages and I decided to do a little bit more research, and truth be told, I knew her story, but there is so much information out there as this is developing, because this happened. They found Jayme last Thursday on the 11th, January 11th. But since I share so many stories with you guys that are very sad, I decided to, why not, cover this story that is a little bit more recent, give you the information that I have up until today, which is January 15th, and that way, I don't know, add a good ending or a happy ending for another case that was another story, and maybe this will give a little bit more hope for those families that went through something similar, involving a kid, of course. Now, the story of Jayme started on October 15th, 2018, when a 911 call was made from 1268 US 8, which is the Highway 8. The 911 call went through and dispatcher did pick up, but nobody answered on the other side, and all the dispatcher could hear was a commotion in the background. Since they couldn't talk with whoever was making the call, the call got disconnected eventually, and dispatcher called a couple of times and even called the home phone number, but nobody picked up. They immediately sent the police to check on the family, and when they were still outside of the home, according to some not theories, but some articles, the police could see from the outside or kind of peek through a window or somewhat, because really it doesn't specifically say how. They noticed that there was a dead man by the door, and they reported to dispatcher that it was probably a suicide. That was the first thing that they said, and it's something that I wanted to mention because there is a little bit of confusion when this story has been shared and after the 911 call was released to the public. So they look and they see this man laying by the door, and they assume it's a suicide, but once they get inside the house, they realize that it's something completely different. There was no gun by the body, which kind of immediately told them that this wasn't a suicide. When they got inside the house, they started checking the rooms, and they found inside a small bathroom, they found a woman, and she was dead as well. They were both shot to death. The one thing that they immediately realized is that they just couldn't find the daughter of the couple. Remember, the police or officers that are responding to this are giving updates to the dispatcher. They're kind of putting together everything, doing their own investigation while they go through the house of who lives there and who should be there and who shouldn't be there and all those things. So it's kind of a teamwork. The officers checking the house and getting into the most gruesome scenes, and the other ones that are just trying to put together where they're getting parents there. They realized that the couple, this probably was the couple, the owners of the house, and that they had a 13-year-old daughter. They looked for her everywhere. They had drones. They had I can never remember the name, like heat sensor things that going throughout the entire house and the property just to make sure that she wasn't hiding somewhere in the house. Now the police at that point, they weren't sure if the daughter Jayme was at the house at that specific time, so they talked to teachers, they talked to friends, neighbors, and they tried to find out if she ended up spending the night somewhere else instead of being at the house. Remember that all of this started at 1 a.m. on a Sunday going to a Monday. So Jayme should have been there, and so that day at 3:30 p.m. they issued an Amber Alert giving the description of Jayme and putting her face and pictures all over the place for people to try to help, and if they spotted her, just to call and try to find Jayme before it was too late. Now Jayme was 5 foot tall, 100 pounds, and she had a blonde / strawberry blonde hair. At 6 p.m. that same day, it was confirmed that the people that they found dead were in fact Jayme's parents. Her dad was 56-year-old, and his name was Jayme Closs. And Denise Closs, Jayme's mom, was 46 years old. On October 16th, they had the first press conference, and in this, the sheriff shared that this was an active investigation and that they were looking for Jayme, but that they had no suspect at the time. So if anybody would notice somebody they know acting weird, saying weird things, changing their appearance, skipping school or skipping work, or any kind of plans of leaving town or anything, to report them so they can take a look and see if they could have something to do with what happened at the Closses' house. Now that same day, they get a tip from somebody in Miami, Florida, that said that they spotted Jayme in a black Ford Explorer, that she was in the back seat, that she was not restrained, and that she seemed okay with the idea of being there. Not like somebody was forcing her to stay in the car. She didn't look nervous or afraid or anything like that. This person, he even, or she, I'm not sure, even got the license plate number of that Ford Explorer, that it was the driver and the one riding in the passenger side. They were with suits, black suits, and they seemed like very well-dressed people, but it was interesting that this girl looked so much like Jayme, so they reported it. And at this point, the sheriff, they are going crazy trying to find Jayme and kind of trying to get a suspect for whoever did all this. And so the FBI, since a kidnap, it's a federal thing, the FBI was the one that went to Florida to kind of find out if in fact it was Jayme. They investigated the license plate, they did everything, and it was so fast that by the time that this got out to the media, was leaked to the media, the FBI already had investigated and said that that was not Jayme. That I don't know how they figure out so fast. I don't know how, if they knew for sure that wasn't Jayme. Now, the autopsy came back, and it was the cause of death was the shots that they got both of Jayme's parents, and it was ruled homicide on both. Now, where was Jayme? People started to speculate things like maybe she had a boyfriend and the boyfriend killed the parents so they can run away. I mean, if you are a true crime watcher, you probably heard many, many stories like that of teenagers that have done that before. So, it's not unheard of. But the family said that Jayme was a very shy girl, and she was, at the same time, she had lots of friends at school. She was happy. She had a great relationship with her mom. They were very, very close, and that they just couldn't see this happening, you know. She wasn't rebellious, or she wasn't wanting to have a boyfriend. She didn't, you know, had any kind of trouble with her parents. So it was the family immediately kind of got that out of the people's minds as much as they could by describing the character of Jayme, a very sweet girl. The police at this point, they said that Jayme was not a suspect, that she was probably taken against her will. I don't know how they figure that out, do not ask me, but that is what the police believed at the time. So that and the family description of Jayme, it kind of debunked that idea. However, the police did have two vehicles in the area that were very, that they were not from the area, let's call it like that. These vehicles were not spotted in the Closses' driveway or near their house. They were spotted by surveillance cameras in different businesses in the area. They were looking for a Dodge Challenger, and they were also looking for a Ford Edge. These are vehicles that did not belong to anybody in that area where Jayme lived. And by the way, this is a very small town. I think it was a town of 3,000. So just so you know, this is how they figured that these two vehicles did not belong there and could have had something to do with what happened to them. Now at this point again, they're going through different things and questions like, who would want to do that to them? Were they involved in something? Both of our parents work for Genio, which is the turkey. I don't know if that's where they package it or whatever in the area, but they work there. They were going through the work and seeing if they had any enemies or anybody that would want to hurt them or wanted to take Jayme. I mean, they were trying to find out what happened. Now in the area, the meth, drug problem, it was pretty big, but they had no violent crimes reported. It was pretty, I mean, if they had crime, of course they did, like theft and all those things, maybe carjacks or other things, but not violent crimes. So, they were wondering if maybe the parents got involved with somebody in the meth business or something like that. They also entertained the idea that maybe Jayme was abducted for sex trafficking, which immediately for me doesn't really make sense because you know that the biggest place that they use are like big events, very public, very in the middle of the day kind of thing. It's not like they go into houses and kill parents to get their kids. The Super Bowl is one of those events where a lot of people get taken for those, but again, it's very, very out in the open and not really, I'm going to go to your house, stalk you, and then take you for sex trafficking. There's a big organization explanation for that, and it really doesn't fit, but it was entertained, the idea that she could have been taken for that. Now, they also thought that it could have been possible that somebody wanted to get in the house thinking that they were not there and tried to steal stuff from them, which doesn't really make sense because they knocked the door. That's why the father was opening the door. And so if they were trying to steal something, they're not gonna sit there and be like, I'm gonna kill people so I can steal whatever I want from the house. There were other theories saying that maybe they didn't know that they had a daughter and that they did go with the idea of killing the parents but not the daughter. Also, the dog was in the house barking like crazy, but at this point a lot of theories say that he might have been in either a carrier or in a room, locked in a room to the point that he couldn't get out. He couldn't, go and bother whoever got in the house. This is a small dog, if I'm not mistaken. He's really cute. There's a picture of Jayme holding him and with her aunt, and I am happy that he survived, and I'm happy that he's there for Jayme at least now. But some people were wondering, how, I mean, they must have known that Jayme was there, but it was another theory that maybe it was a burglary gone wrong. Now, on October 27th, remember that this happened on the 15th, this guy, his name is Kyle Janke, Jaenke. He's a 32-year-old man that, and there's like a timeline of what he did that day, but at some point in the night, he went by the Closs's house, which was, they put cameras, motion sense cameras that, I'm assuming it was the sheriff that did that, but basically he saw that the patio door was open, so he got inside and he went straight to Jayme's room, and he decided to start taking some clothes from Jayme and putting it in his pockets. Now, that's super weird, and he, was in camera, and he did get caught. He actually was in court, and now in January he had, I think, his first court appearance, or it was at the end of December, I'm not even sure, but he got charges for burglary, breaking in, I don't know how many charges, but one of the things that he took was the underwear. I think a couple of pieces of underwear from Jayme, which looked a little bit suspicious, but the police immediately cleared him from being the one responsible for taking Jayme or killing her parents. This guy was just kind of a creep who decided to go inside home, and he said, and I'm going to quote him, "I just wanted to know what size Jayme was," because that's really relevant to fill in the blank. Now this is the good part, but it's like a movie scene, and I'm gonna give you all the details that I have on it. But finally, on January the 10th, Jayme was spotted walking in this road in Gordon, Wisconsin. This place is about 70 miles away from her house and from where she was taken. She was walking down this road, quote unquote road, but really not really, because this was a kind of a service road where you would have to share the road with cars and ATVs. It's like an undeveloped road, more kind of a trail, and she was wearing some shoes that were way too big for her. She had no coat, and I think it was 19 degrees outside, and I'm talking about 19 degrees Fahrenheit, which is below freezing. She had no gloves, no hat, no nothing, and she bumped into this lady who was walking her dog. she was at the moment that she bumped into Jayme, okay? And she bought this cabin in the area, or she has that cabin in the area that she goes to unplug. So that day, that lady left her home 2 hours away from there. She got to this place, and she drove with her dog. He's a 3-year-old golden retriever, and she basically decided to take him for a long walk, to go potty and everything, and that's when she bumped into Jayme. So basically, they were walking in a remote road, a forest enclosed path. What are the chances that somebody will be walking their dog who lives 2 hours away and that happened to go there for the weekend to unplug? Almost like winning the lottery kind of thing, but thankfully she was there. Now you have to know that this area where they bump into each other or they run into each other, this area only has 30 cabins or houses right there, but they are all kind of tucked in, and they are also, most of them, people would go for weekends or to unplug, like Nutter, the lady. Anyways, there are some people that live there permanently, but most people go there for vacation or to spend some time out of the city or from wherever they are from. Now, just to make things even a little bit more interesting, this lady was a retired social worker that when she saw Jayme, she immediately knew who she was. This girl looked, according to the lady, Nutter, she said that she looked very, very thin, that her hair was messy and dirty and all tangled, and that she looked like, and she had no clothes for the weather. So even though, because of her losing so much weight, I mean, she did look different. Nutter, the lady walking the dog, she immediately knew that was Jayme. Now, I am not sure why, but I'm assuming that she knew the neighbors, this lady. So they walked into a cabin in the area. And the owners are Peter and Kristen Kaczynskis. They live there, and they start knocking the door like crazy and trying to get inside the cabin to call for help. When they did that, Kristen said, the owner of the cabin, that she thought it was UPS or something, but when they opened the door, they found the lady, Nutter, and Jayme both at their door, asking them to call 911 because that was Jayme. Now, something that you should know, a few hours before finding Jayme, there was a rumor online that was shut down by the sheriff. The rumor said that they found Jayme that same day. There was a rumor, and the sheriff went and said, no, we did not find Jayme. So by the time that Kristen called the authorities, called 911, she said that she felt like the dispatcher didn't believe her, and that could have something to do with the rumors that were on social media before, a few hours earlier, and that dispatcher thought that it was part of that rumor. But I'm gonna quote her here. Kristen told the dispatcher, "This is for real. She's sitting in my room." Now, at the same time, Jayme was talking to them and telling them more about who the person was that had her and where she was, and she told them that Jake Patterson was the one that took her and that he kept her in his cabin, and nobody else knew. So she would have to hide while he had friends or family over, so they didn't know that she was there in the cabin. And that day, he told her that he needed to go out and that he was going to be out until midnight. So that was when she decided that it was the perfect time to run. We do not have many details as of today on how she ran away, but if you see, I mean, there's a big picture of this cabin, and you can see that even the roof has a hole. So maybe I don't know, maybe she found a way to climb it. I don't know how she escaped, but she did end up doing it. And she was afraid that this guy was looking for her. When she told the name, Kristen, the cabin owner, she realized that she knew that name, and that was actually one of her science students a few years ago. Now, this guy right now, he's 21, but she could clearly remember him being a quiet boy, a pretty smart one, but she didn't even know that he lived in the area because he had no social media, and he was keeping a low profile because he didn't want to be spotted. Now, the husband of Kristen, he grabbed his gun and he said, well, if he comes through the door, he's not gonna have a good time with me. So basically he stood in front of the door waiting for this guy to show up. The police then told him that because the couple first put their kids in the basement with the dogs and said do not come out in case that this guy came. The police then told them that they should go all down, and only the husband with the gun would have to stay in the back door while the police got there, just to make sure that he didn't go through that door. The police finally made it there 30 minutes later. Remember, this is a remote area, and by the time that they made it there, they already caught this guy. This is such a happy ending, and this is such a great story because honestly, this is one of those things that you're like, it's like a movie. Picture the guy in the back door just making sure that this kid doesn't show up there armed trying to hurt his family, or Jayme. People hiding in the basement, it's like I can't even put myself in that situation. It seems very unreal. But this kid, he was born in the area, but he kept a low profile. This area, there's only 645 people in population. He was very quiet. His parents divorced and basically left him and his brother behind, which they were older. The brother did have some kind of previous record, but Jake Patterson, the one that actually took her, he didn't. She was actually hiding under the bed, and she was threatened if she made a noise that it would be bad for her. So basically, this brothers, maybe Jake was the one staying in the cabin and the brother visiting, I am not sure. But when they were younger, they were spotted doing some kind of petty things like siphoning gasoline and stuff like that. So, maybe you can, say that he was 100% working alone. And according to the police, he was working alone. Now, the latest that I've read about all this is that the family didn't know Jake at all, and that they don't know, in the beginning, they didn't know how he kind of picked her to take her, because we now know after he had his first appearance on Monday in court that he picked her. He actually premeditated everything. He went with the idea of killing the parents and taking Jayme. He thought that she was perfect, and she didn't met him through social media or anything. Apparently she got off the bus one day when he was getting off work. He saw her. He followed her to wherever she went, and he decided that she was the one. So, no, it wasn't a boyfriend trying to take her. It was a random guy who happened to be on the same road that the bus dropped off the kids from school and decided that he wanted to take her for whatever reason. We don't know what he did to her, guys, and maybe we can keep the hope for that something that's gonna happen with all those kids that are missing. Maybe there will be a happy ending for some of the recent ones that disappeared. So, let me know if you want to add something. You're watching this later and you want to add something. I'd love to read the updates that you can leave in the comments down below. Thank God for a good happy ending. I wish Jayme nothing but the best to her family. I hope that she snuggles with her family now, that she gets the better night's sleep, and you know, that she can move forward. As I always say, it's hard to move on from these tragedies, but maybe she can move forward, and maybe she can be that face for all those parents that are missing their kids. Maybe she can be that hope for those parents or families, or you know, that their kids get taken. And I hope that Jake gets what he deserves for destroying an entire family and for putting Jayme through hell for this past few months. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Please leave your